So who you got on the football game?
I'm still mourning the loss. Like, I love how everybody is just jumping into the Super Bowl and who's playing in the Super Bowl, but I really thought the Cowboys could have a chance. I really thought.
Why? What made you think that? Dak is whack. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But, but it's been a couple weeks now. I think you should just, like, let it go. Well, I did think they had a chance.
When we beat Tom Brady, I mean, that was a hard game because I was like, who do I root for? I love Tom Brady.
The team is the Buccaneers. It's not just Tom.
Well, it's pretty much Tom.
No I in team.
When we beat Tom Brady, Tampa Bay, I thought we had a chance, even though it was a horrible game. And Tom didn't play very well. I called him afterwards to kind of...
Did you console him?
Yeah.
Did you rub his head?
Yeah. But I thought maybe this could be our year that we at least... I didn't think we would win the Super Bowl, but...
Okay, so then who do you think's going to take it?
Well, I kind of want Philadelphia just because they haven't. I think they've won once out of the 3 runs that they've had.
They won like a couple of years ago. Like 4 years. Was it 4 years ago? The Eagles?
But they've only won that one time.
Down,
and I am a Byrd, so, I like the whole thing with like the birds and
tail
the Eagles.
Feathers. I think if the Eagles win, then we should do a dance-off. I really
like Patrick Mahomes too, but...
Oof, I can't. He's a Raider. Texas Tech. I just can't get behind that.
Just they're expected to win. And for Todd Brookspan, he's a big Eagles fan, so I'd like to see him win.
Selfishly, we have a client, and he's pretty high up on the coaching staff for the Kansas City Chiefs. But you know that this game is so important because it's the two brothers playing against each other.
So the mom can't lose.
Yeah, but I feel like that's why I feel like we should have maybe a dance off or maybe a basketball off, and we'll record it and we'll play horse or something. But I'm Team Kelsey.
You will suck at horse. I always killed you in horse.
That's a true statement. But it's been a couple of years, so. Anyways, it is February. Welcome to the Nerd and Byrd podcast. Nerd and Byrd here. Byrd. And we're excited to kick off February. I can't believe January is done and over.
Yeah, it went by fast. It always does. But, February goes by faster because there's less days.
28 days, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
fun fact, do you know why? This is not a leap year, but do you know why we have leap year every 4th year?
Is this a science question?
It is a science question.
The subject that if you're a kid and you're, for some reason, listening to this.
Well, parents could quiz their kids.
Okay, let's.
Do you know? I'm asking you.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Adam, do you know why every 4th year we have an extra day?
It has something to do with the lunars?
The moon.
It actually takes 365 and 1/4 day for us to completely revolve around the sun. So the 1/4 is added up. And so every 4 years we have leap year.
No. It's like Paul Cozzolino's 7 today because his birthday's on like the 29th,
Mm-hmm.
I love the part. So, all right. So what we got? How was your January? Any new things coming up with social media that the audience should know? What do they need to know?
Well, before we get into the social media aspect, I think we need to talk about the state of the market.
Oh, real estate.
So we can go, yeah.
So it's been crazy. And we thought that it was going to take longer to get there, but sometimes we see in the news or even in social media, because I guess that's the modern day news, it takes a little while for things to actually get to the news. But what we're seeing, at least in this DFW area, is, interest rates have come down a bit. And so all these pent up buyers that were waiting on the sidelines last year, they're ready to go and they're re-entering the market. They're more encouraged because the rates have come down, and they know that when the summer months come, there's gonna be more competition because there's still a massive inventory issue. There's an inventory issue not just with DFW, but the fact that builders are not building as many homes, and there's 35 million more first-time home buyers in the market just from the prior generation. So there's still inventory issues. As rates continue to go down, we're already starting to see multiple offers again.
Really?
Yeah.
And above asking?
Yeah.
Is it back to that?
It's not back to Fast and Furious like 2021, but it's only been 1 month. It's the start of February, and we're already seeing it. Like there was a house in Plano, smaller home, first-time home buyer home. So those are, hot commodities right now. And it went for $40,000 over list, and there was like 30-something offers on it. Yeah. Our
Because
agent.
it's one thing to go over like 50,000 above asking when the rates were 3%, but when rates are still like 6.5,
Yeah.
with good credit, I mean, that's a big
Yeah.
dent in the
Yeah.
payment. Wow.
I think that's the thing is if it's a hard market for first time home buyers, but I think it's going to continue to get hard. And that isn't to be discouraging, but if it's something that's been on the back of your mind, I think it's time to explore that now. And I think what people have to realize is it's okay if you get into a home and it's not your dream home. Like, you remember that house on Treetop that I bought that
Yes.
smelled? It was
like 5 houses away from me.
yeah, that was really cool. We used to live down the street from each other.
Yeah.
Like you could walk to your house. Is that like separation anxiety? You know how twins have?
Yeah, I probably went through that more so whenever you went to A&M and I stayed here.
Yeah. Well, but I'm just saying that house was disgusting. The carpet was disgusting.
I don't remember it being disgusting.
the-
I remember it smelled.
It smelled and it smelled like curry, but you could like wipe the cabinets and there would be like it's anyways, we ended up tearing all that stuff. But my point is I think it cost us less than $8,000 to like get new carpet, and we tore the tile out with hardwood floors in. And thank God I bought that house when we did, and we still have it. But I think that's kind of the reality check that first-time home buyers are going to have is, okay, maybe you can't afford what in your mind you thought your first home would look like, maybe with the hardwood floors and the granite and the stainless steel, but that's okay. It's still better than throwing rent away. I think that's just the hard pill to swallow. It's like, but I live in this nice apartment.
I know some of these apartments with the amenities,
It's nice.
it feels like a resort. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty costly, and it will cost sometimes more than what your mortgage would be, but it has like the resort style pool, and it has
Yeah.
like the, little housing, whatever it's
Cabanas?
called. No, like the leasing office where you can rent out
Oh,
like
yeah.
the
The
pool
little event
tables
thing.
and
Yeah,
they have like
shuffleboards.
dog,
Yeah.
so it's almost like a little community.
I think that's the thing is like, why give that up? And unless you're working with a mortgage advisor that can actually show you the numbers, like did you see that video that I posted? You probably didn't, but did you see the video I posted where if you kept one home, the amount of equity you would have at the end of 15 years was like 1.3 million. But for people who currently still own a home, instead of selling it, you kept it. And now you have two assets appreciating. The amount of equity combined for both of those would be like 2.4. So literally, even people right now, 63% of people have a 4% or less interest rate. They're starting to consider, well, maybe we should just turn this into a rental.
But then the inventory problem is
Is
only going to
even
get
worse.
worse.
That's why all these big companies are going and they're buying out all these, like BlackRock and all these corporations are going in and like literally building rental communities. They're doing that because they know they're going to be able to make bank on these people who, get priced out. So that sounds
Is that the
Debbie
most
Downer.
of the people that are applying or who applied last month with you? Are they their reason to buy right now? Are almost all of them first time home buyers? They're
I
tired
would
of
say
renting?
majority of them are first-time home buyers, or their relocation, or there's been like a death or divorce. But majority right now are these first-time home buyers, and they're I call them the buyers that are re-entering the market. They dipped their toe in the water either a year ago or even 2 years ago. So if you're a real estate agent and you're listening to this, if you're not re-engaging with those people and you just have them set up on one of those MLS custom searches, which it's what so many of them rely on as their follow-up process is like, oh, well, I put you on a search, and you need to re-engage like now with those clients because they're interested and they're not scared with the rate anymore. When rates were over 7, that was scary. Now they're coming down. We know we can rewrite the mortgage whenever they come down, so.
So what would you say your real estate partners, just from having conversations with them, what are they doing right now? Like, what are their plans for 2023 to either help people list and try to get sellers, because that's hard right now, or even buyers? Like, they're all competing for the same market share.
Yeah.
So have they said either what they're doing or how maybe you're helping them in this market?
I firmly believe that whether you're a real estate agent, because I think the average age of a realtor is 54, And I think the dilemma that people are having, specifically real estate agents are having, is they do not know how to attract and market and educate these first-time home buyers. They don't understand this generational shift. They've been doing business. Like, so if you're a 54-year-old agent and you've been killing it, you've been able to rely on your database and provide good service, and you're losing market share to these newbie realtors that hardly know how to write a contract, but they're all over social media, educating, doing home tours, attracting, showing the difference between the rent versus owning. And these newer agents that don't know how to write a contract, but they know how to gain market share from this type of generational of buyers, they want to do so much research before they hire you. So if you're a realtor, and I'm just using social, but all social media platforms, if you don't have the Google reviews or whatnot, then they can't window shop you, and you don't look relevant. And let's be honest, if you're selling houses, you better be really darn relevant or know how to do marketing. And so I think right now realtors haven't been paying close enough attention to this generational shift. They don't understand the mindset of how this group buys and researches and what they care about. And they really just want to be able to travel. What does buying a home look like today? Does it look like buying it with a roommate? And, the old school way is like, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house. You would never buy a house like with somebody if you weren't married. But the psychology and the traditional ways of this group just looks drastically different. And so can you have a mindset shift to promote, well, if you have 2 roommates with this apartment, what if you bought a house with them? And what if there were clauses to help you get out of it? And so
that's really true too, and educating them on the clauses around that. But speaking of a class that we just taught a couple weeks ago about how to identify your target audience, this was a class full of real estate agents, and it was a social media class. Most of the buyers are millennials. And what I was explaining to them is millennials, and I feel like I can say this since I'm an old millennial.
You're right on that last little, you're the old, skirting in like, whoop.
We need a lot of validation. And I think people forget that because they were kids during the last recession and housing crash, that the word of mouth referral, which is where most real estate agents get their referrals, is it's a refer from someone that they either know or have done business with. That word of mouth referral is just not enough, because people are going to go online and they want to research you, or they want to hear what your clients are saying about you. And that's the biggest miss for most agents on posting consistently, is it may not be just to grow your brand awareness, which we know is important, but it's what if you have that one crazy client that leaves a bad remark or bad review? If you don't have anything else to flush out that one bad review because you're not active on social, then people are going to believe that, because there's no other story for them to latch onto other than, oh, well, this client had a bad experience. So
I think that's why the top agents that have been able to rely on their database, they're realizing that their market share is going down, and they're getting frustrated. And so as a loan officer, as a partner, we're trying to help provide tools to make them be better. We have a Nerd Media here. We've got Adam that will help even record and edit the videos so that you can be educating on social. But I do have a question for you. What is since you're the social media queen, I see a lot of real estate agents posting kind of the same thing, like, these are my numbers, these are my stats, look at me, I'm at the closing table closing on another home. How does that land on that generation?
Not well, because if it's always about you and it's not about, because honestly, nobody cares about you. I mean, they care that you're an expert, but they care how
you don't think it's relevant to be like, oh, I've been in the business for 10 years and helped over 1 million families buy?
Well, the challenge is you have some people that say they've been in business for 10 years, or is it the same year that you've just repeated for 10 years? Because you have these newbies who are very tech savvy, who are more into the business as far as measuring the ROI or the strategy of how to buy the home, that what I would prefer is, instead of taking a picture at the closing table, tell me the story. Because every loan app, every closing, every client that contacts you, they all have a story. And it may be similar and it may be different, whether they were divorcing or they're expecting their first child. And so it is getting to like the pillow talk of what people have, of why I'm buying a home because ... whatever those blanks are. Like, do a brain dump.
Is that too invasive to do? Like if you're at the closing with a client, like they
Well,
bought.
this is where I tell them, partner with your title reps or loan officer and get so good at scripting and role playing that when everyone is signing on the dotted line, it's known that you're going to exit and you're going to go to the bathroom real quick or you're going to go get a drink. And you can script the closer to then say, hey, the best way to thank your real estate agent instead of doing a gift or whatever is a little story or a little video testimonial of how this home buying or selling experience was for you.
Yeah.
But it's also planting the seed. And I will say, just from the marketing trends of what I see coming up, may not be like right now, is storytelling, but getting your clients, like understanding your clients will be the future of your marketing department.
Yeah.
And if
They
you
are your
knew-
marketing department.
They are.
If you do it correct, where it doesn't come across like, hey, do this review for me.
Right.
You know, I think that's how. So how could they ask? Do you have any?
Well, think about it. We're talking about millennials and Gen Zs. If I were to ask any of the millennials or Gen Zs that I know, like, hey, I know you told me you were wanting to get out of renting because you have a new dog and you wanted to find that perfect backyard, because the agent gets to like go within the different homes and see and hear their story. This is what I want. And you plant these seeds early on. Like, it's not just at the closing table.
Yeah. So how would you plant the first seed? Like, what
I
does that
would
look
say,
like?
hey, so when we find the perfect home, I want a video. Whenever that dog, the first time he gets
that's
to wag
cool.
his little tail all around that backyard.
Poop on that yard.
And sniff all over the place. Like,
poop.
do you know how many people love their little furry pets?
Oh, yeah.
And like, this is your new home. So we would love
Can we
a video.
capture that?
And let me tell you, those millennials and Gen Zs, they're going to like pop out their phone and they're going to have a fully edited with captions
That's
and
so
transitions.
true. That's
Yes.
so true.
And
I
you
love
want
that.
them to tag it, and you
Yeah.
just plant that seed. And when you plant that here, they start thinking of other things that give them permission to then
Yeah.
capture the moments and tag you. And that's where you're going to grow exponentially, is because you have the leverage trust of that person selling you, them sharing their closing story
Yeah.
or at the closing table, not you selling you.
Yeah. Is it a turnoff? Should we ask Adam? Adam, I know you don't like to be on the other side, but when you see realtors posting like, "Look at me, I'm at the closing table," is it a turnoff or you just keep scrolling?
It really depends on the personality, you know. If their whole background is very just surface level and it's not like actual, like, just seems like a genuine person being happy to help out someone. I mean, I'll tune into that, because I think people have a radar for genuine, like people being genuine and people being
Fake.
you know, full of it.
Or just posting for the gram?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to
That's good
remember, the average person isn't following a ton of real estate agents like we are.
Yeah.
So it may not be as annoying to them, but I just think your words and your quote expertise have got to be more valuable than a Chat GPT search or a Google search. Where now, like, think of what Chat GPT, the instant.
So for people listening that don't know what that is, because there's still a lot of people that don't know what it is.
It is an AI tool that isn't new. It's been around for a couple years, but it is like better than Google. And the fact that you can ask it to do pretty much anything and you don't have to decipher through all
I
these
love
different
it.
articles.
So fantastic.
But it's,
Could you
Think-
ask it what the leap year is?
yes, you can ask it anything. I literally said, write a bedtime story using my kids' names, X, Y, and Z, about superheroes and how they were able to, you know, blah, blah, blah. And
You wrote it.
it wrote it
So
for
cool.
you. But
Imagine if you went to school and you paid all that money for
oh,
college.
you
Should be
can't
like
get
a
to it.
communications.
You can't,
I'm just saying, like, being a communications, and now you've got these bots that can like spell correctly. I'm sure the grammar's correct.
oh, perfect.
Could it do it in a different language?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
There's AI for it to translate in all languages, to write presentations for you. I mean, it's crazy, but I'm looking at how is this going to change consumer behavior, because we've already gotten, like, TikTok has already changed the way that we're so scroll happy. But now if you're able to get instant correct answers, how is that going to alter what we're going to need to do, and where do we need to pivot
Yeah.
in our value that we provide that AI couldn't replace? And so it's showing the strategy, showing the cost over the time, showing the fact if you keep this home and rent it out and buy another one, it's those things that you just aren't going to be able to easily find, or it's unique to your
Right.
situation
Yeah.
is what you need to focus on.
Yeah. Okay. I love that.
That and community building, that would be my other trend. And that's not a new trend of building community, but
Like this restaurant or this principal, or go to the police station and ask how?
Yeah, it's just most people think that they have a community just because they have followers. And followers is not a
Oh,
community.
you mean like a community for your social media, not like the community
Yeah, for
you
your
live in.
brand. Not
Okay.
Just your brand, you need to have, and when you get people involved in the process, or like the Nerd alumni, where you have other people that maybe you're interviewing and you're doing value add collaborations with other business owners in the community, or what charity events are you involved in, or how are
Yeah.
you being the digital mayor of the community, and
Yeah.
not just growing a following, because now it gets to be where it's really noisy and people go where they feel like they belong. And that is going to be, and especially with millennials and Gen Zs, they want to feel like they belong to something bigger,
Yeah.
that there's a purpose behind paying interest to the
Yeah.
mortgage that they are paying. So that would be my 2 social media tips.
Woo, Deborah bringing the heat. Well,
Yes.
I've got my Valentine's red on, and I have to ask you a serious question.
Oh boy.
Actually,
I got my
I've-
sweet tarts. I'm not allowed to eat.
Hey,
because-
I was going to bring up the sweet tarts. Well, okay. So if you were going to only get one gift on Valentine's Day, and I already know where your mind's going, get it out of the gutter, but flowers, wine, or candy, which would you choose?
I'm not a flowers person because they die, and I destroy most flowers anyway. So I'm not. And or wine? I'm not really a wine person either. So I
candy.
guess candy.
And that brings me to my second question. What kind of candy?
Sweet tarts are my favorite.
Y'all, does that even count as a candy?
I'm not a chocolate. Like your nastiness of the Reese. I can't do chocolate and peanut butter or chocolate and caramel, however you.
Reese's peanut butter cups all the way.
No.
team.
Or Starburst.
Kit Kat.
What about
Ew.
you? Ooh, I do like Kit Kat. If I had to
Mine
pick
would
a
be
chocolate
candy.
one, it would be Kit Kat or a Crunch Bar.
Okay, you're fired. You're okay, Adam.
Okay, so for you, same question.
Oh, Reese's peanut butter cups. Although I'm super digging the Quest peanut butter cups, which is a healthier version, but anything peanut butter to me, like peanut butter and chocolate, is this right here.
Gross.
Oh yeah.
No, I can't mix it. Like makes my stomach hurt. It's like thinking of cheese with anything else other than a cheeseburger. Like I had a Hot Pocket once.
Macaroni and cheese.
Okay, I do only if it's Kraft macaroni and cheese. I
Yeah.
don't like the homemade mac and cheese. But
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, tune in for our next episode. We're bringing in the heat this year. We've got some great guests, but let's go Kansas City Chiefs. Hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, tune in, and as always, thank you. We'll see you next time.
take care.